Hey, look van je weer te zien. Have you heard the song Veronica in Franeker? Nee. Well, let me sing it for you. Veronica in Franeker in the province of Friesland. I'm Veronica Lewis, and today on Let's Go Dutch, we're in Franeker.
I'm gonna travel the world. I'm gonna go where the Dutch have been, and I'm gonna share it with you, my friends. Let's go Dutch. Let's go Dutch. Let's go Dutch.
We'll visit the historical town of Franeker and then head to the nearby port city of Harlingen.
So put on your clogs and let's go Dutch.
Friesland is in the northwestern part of the Netherlands. Both Harlingen and Franeker are in the western part of the province. In the 9th century, feudalism was the order of the day for most of Europe. Friesland, however, was an autonomous territory devoid of feudal overlords.
Today we're visiting two towns in Friesland. We'll soak up the seaport vibe in Harlingen, but first we're in the town of Franeker. This street name, Franeker, is the origin of the name Franeker. Franeker means land of the kings. Well, Franeker received its Staatsrechten in 1374. Its history goes back much further.
In 800 AD, it was a town of the Carolingian dynasty. The dynasty was centered around Charles the Hammer Martel. His grandson was Charlemagne.
So one could say Franeker can trace its lineage all the way back to Charlemagne himself.
In 1579, Franeker joined the Dutch revolt against Spain, and for their part, they were rewarded with a university by William of Orange. You may have heard of him. His moniker is William the Silent. Now, if I were you watching this, I might be saying to the screen, Billy Eric, what's that beautiful building behind you?
Billy Eric, what's that beautiful building behind you?
Thomas and Heron, the Franeker Stadthaus.
The Stadthaus took 3 years to build, finishing in 1594. A Stadthaus typically showed off the prosperity and prowess of a town in the Golden Age. The elaborate Franeker Stadthaus showed this was indeed a prosperous town. It's natural to look at a Stadthaus like this and be overwhelmed by the abundance of decorations. Don't rush yourself. Take the time to examine each detail and admire the craftsmanship of builders from over 400 years ago. The side wing was added in 1760. In contrast to the dazzling Renaissance part, this side wing is in a Louis XV style.
I don't think you hear too much about Louis XV. The 14th and 16th. But that's about it. Niet waar?
Quite possibly, but this style was all the rage when the French occupied the Netherlands. As you enter the Stadthaus, you pass under the Staatswappens of Friesland and the House of Oranje-Nassau.
At the time the Stadthouse was built, the 80 Years' War with Spain was still going on. It would be another 54 years before it ended. You'll notice that the head of the council had his chair in front of the fireplace, probably the most desired spot during the cold winter months. Built into the chair are the bell and crown of the old Franeker Staatswappen. Typically holding the bell are Ceres and Minerva. The bell goes back to legend of a secret bell that, when rung, summoned the people inside the city gates. There is also another tale buried in Franeker's medieval past. Apparently, people from Franeker tried to steal a bell from a church in Harlingen. Because of that, the nickname of the people of Franeker became Klokkadieven, clock thieves. As you exit the council chamber, above the door, you'll notice a Dutch garden wood carving. We introduced you to this ancient order on our Haarlem Revisited episode. This is a portrait of Princess Wilhelmina in 1892 at age 12. 2 years earlier, her father had passed away. Her mother, Queen Emma, ruled as regent until 1898, when Wilhelmina became queen.
In 1585, a university was built in Franeker. It was the second oldest after Leiden. It was closed when the French took over the Dutch Republic in 1811. There are two notable names on the Franeker University list. The first is Peter Stuyvesant, who would become Director General of New Amsterdam, which itself would become New York City. The second is Isa Isinger.
Isa was born in 1744 in a town about 6 miles from Franeker. After he married, he settled here, where he worked as a wool comber. Isa had a passion for astronomy from a very early age. Now see that cute little bell gable? That was his house, and he built a planetarium on the ceiling of his living room. No, really? You want to see it?
This is known as an orrery, which is defined as a mechanical device showing the movements of the planets. This is the oldest working orrery in the Netherlands. Isa built this between 1774 and 1781 in order to calm the people's fear of a planetary collision. Of all the things to worry about! Isa's fascination with astronomy was instilled in him from an early age by his father. His father even helped him build the orrery. The mechanical workings are a marvel, all powered by a single clock. It must be pointed out that this literally was Isa's home with his wife and kids. You can see a bed box on the wall, which was typical in older times. They slept sitting propped up on pillows. Beyond the planetarium, the museum also presents Isa's profession as a wool comber. Wool was a most precious commodity in the cold, damp Low Countries. In keeping with Isa's passion for astronomy, The museum has various instruments that gave men like Isa the awareness and knowledge of the planets. By the way, the telescope was invented by the Dutch.
One thing you're liable to encounter in the Netherlands is long words. Here's one for instance. Korendrachershuisje. I'll take it slow. Korendrachershuisje. It means the little house of the corn carriers. This cute little gable is the Korendrachershuisje, built in 1634. Notice how it's built over the canal. It was a toll house of the Grain Carriers Guild. The gable stone depicts one of these corndrachers. Inside is a museum that tells the whole story. So let's draken ourselves in for a peek. Oh, you might want to leave a full day to explore this museum.
As you walk into this free guild house, you'll notice the letters TAK on the gable, standing for tall, oxines, korenmaten. It tells us the function was collect tolls, excise taxes, and measure grain.
Did I say a full day? Well, I meant a full minute. But you'll be glad you stopped in. Our next stop is a museum housed in a stins. That means stone house. Stins is closely related to the Dutch word for stone, steen. From 1502, the Museum Martina.
The Martina Stens, as it's known, was built by Hessel van Martina. The estate stayed in the van Martina family for the next 190 years. At the time the Martina Stens was built, Friesland and the next-door province of Groningen were embroiled in a dispute between two rival parties. This explains the Martina Stens looking like an imposing castle. And speaking of castles, Hessel was knighted in 1515 by Floris van Egmont, Stadtholder of Friesland. Upon entering the Martina House Museum, there's one thing to know, so you won't be shocked in case you see people touching things. This museum allows you to touch objects, sit in chairs, and even try your hand at a harmonium. It's quite unique, and their feeling is that it puts you into history instead of just looking at it from afar. This room is the painting room. It's called that because these paintings were made specifically for these walls, sometime around 1700. This is known as the University Hall. This goes back to the university that was founded in 1585. The portraits adorning the walls are some of the professors. This room is the Anna Maria von Schermen Hall. Anna, while not from Franeker, spent some of her youth in the Stins while her father studied here. She was obviously a gifted child, having the distinction of being the first woman to study in a university. You might say this was her playroom. In the attic are 2 exhibitions. One is called Buitenbeetjes, which are misfits, or society's outsiders. The other is called the Fair of Koistra. Poor little Jacob Koistra. His strict mother wouldn't allow him to go to the fair. Quite unfair. So Jacob built a miniature fair.
Mom, what do you say?
Fair enough. It's common knowledge. The Netherlands is a country with 2 kings. The second king is Natuurlijk, the bike. This room exhibits the evolution of the bike from pedalless wooden bikes to the granny bike.
At this spot, we can see 2 more stins. You can start to get a sense of the fortified town that emerged during the Middle Age Civil War taking place.
This is known as the Botnia-stins and is from 1500. There were 2 branches of the Botnia family in Franeker. One lived over on the other side of the North Canal. The other lived here. During the 80 Years' War with Spain, the family living here remained loyal to the Spanish king. When the Dutch expelled the Spanish, they also exiled this branch of the family. In 1588, the wife of the first Frisian stadhouder died in this house in childbirth. Anna von Nassau was just 24 years old. The Botnia-stins also served as home to several professors of Franeker University.
A church-founded orphanage from 1668 took over the building in 1853.
This one is the Comminghastins. The long section is from 1475. The taller section is from 1550. There was an inn known as the Valk here from 1645 up until 1969.
Rembrandt van Rijn, I think we can all agree, is the most famous of Dutch painters. In this house here, Saskia van Aulenburg once lived. She would become Rembrandt's first wife. I couldn't leave Franeker without mentioning that.
While admiring these 2 contrasting house styles, it's easy to overlook the little building on the corner. But then you notice the gable stones and the 1657 Anno stain. It turns out this little building was the Wacht, the way house. And speaking of gable stones, this one came sailing along in 1685. It's heading next to nearby Harlingen. So let's climb on board.
Franeker in Harlingen.
There's no escaping the salty sea here. Harlingen is right on the coast of the Wadden Sea. Scattered around town are old warehouses of the VOC, the Dutch East India Company. Harlingen was born out of a monastery founded in 1157. It was the monks who dug the first canals as a means of transport. Transport to the year 1228, when Harlingen is first mentioned, with city rights being bestowed just 6 years later. In 1644, the port city was granted rights to expand whaling around Greenland.
Harlingen received its Staatsrechten in 1234. In 1730, they built a stadthouse. The statue on the facade is the patron St. Michael.
Like St. George, St. Michael is depicted as slaying a dragon. He's protecting Harlingen, symbolized by the Staatswappen. The Harlingen Staatswappen features 3 fleur-de-lis representing the veneration of Mary and 4 crosses representing St. Michael. The Stadthaus is built in Louis XIV style. Prior to 1730, there was a Renaissance Stadthaus. The Rathaustoren, which means Town Hall Tower, is from that original Renaissance Stadthaus. As you enter the Stadthaus, you're greeted by a cannon that was aboard a ship in the 1700s. The Stadthaus presided over a port city of great importance to the Dutch Republic. The paintings in this room were done by local skilder Nicolaas Bauer. Here we find another impeccable model ship. I'll let you in on a little secret. This ship is situated here close to the wedding hall to whisk the newly married couple off to some exotic honeymoon. No, really, echt waar. I mean, seriously. Would I lie when staring down the coat of arms of the Harlingen militia officers? Harlingen has a big connection to the sea, so it's no wonder there are several harbors. Shipbuilding was big industry here, as was whaling. Both baleen and whale oil, known as tear, were important products gleaned from whales. In 1645, the Frisian Admiralty relocated to Harlingen. They were based around the Zuiderhaven, the South Harbor.
Overlooking the Zuiderhaven is a memorial to Tjerk Hiddes de Vries. He sailed under the command of Michiel de Ruyter, the most famous of Dutch admirals. De Vries went to sea at age 12 for the first time. In 1648, he settled in Harlingen with his new bride, Nannetje. Here at Pfeiffer number 4 is where Tjerk and Nannetje lived.
While overshadowed by the nearby university town of Franeker, it was maritime trade which brought the riches into Harlingen. Those exotic goods that came sailing in were stored in a pakhuis, which means warehouse. Take this corner step gable, for instance. That's a pakhuis from 1647. It's known as the Blauwe Hand, the blue hand, which you could see depicted on the gable stone. This pakhuis is one of the oldest in Harlingen and completely intact. The style is late Renaissance. When it was built, it probably looked just like, well, that. So let's give the architect a blue hand.
Thomas and Heron, it's time for our Cute Gable of the Day award.
We have a Cute Gable of the Day award? I think I see which gable she selected.
This cute facade is from 1728. That was long later. Notice the ship gable stone. It turns out Hendrik Copes van der Woude, who had the facade built, was a transport ship captain. Van der Woude couldn't be here to accept the award, so we'll leave it for him at our next stop, the Hahnemann House. A museum that paints a fine portrait of Harlingen is the Hahnemann House, housed in the home of a wealthy family of merchants. The Hahnemann family had deep roots in Harlingen, including a burgomaster in 1653. It was a later member who bought this house in 1744. If you thought you could escape the salty sea once inside, you'll be mistaken. There are portraits of ships painted for owners. The ship models as well are immaculate in their tiny details. These models were not some hobby pastime, but teaching methods for shipbuilders and sailors, as well as models commissioned by ship owners themselves. Delft is, of course, famous for its Delft blue pottery and tiles, but Harlingen also had a thriving pottery biz. The museum has a fine collection of Frisian blue pottery and tiles, especially with the common seascape scenes. In 1767, Nicolaas Bauer was born in Harlingen. He would become a maritime painter, which is quite fitting since his dad had an art dealership nearby. This room is a recreation of that dealership, circa 1800. In 1746, Jan Hahnemann was born here. He was a merchant and had a Geneva distillery behind the house. The foundation was discovered during renovation. The museum built a recreation of the distillery in the cellar. Working our way through all the books in this room would take forever, especially since they're all in Dutch. This room is devoted to Simon Vestdijk. Local boy Simon, who actually lived right across the street, was a famous writer of books, novels, poems, stories, and more. Literally, right across the street is the home of writer Simon Vestdijk. This fine step gable sports a plaque telling us that this was indeed where he was born in 1898. Safe to say, this house has a lot of stories to tell.
There's one story, however, you won't hear from Simon. Long before he was born, a wine merchant named Sickle Lubbers bought this house. He also had a packhouse built right behind it. It's over on the Noorderhaven. It's right through this alley, the Rupperstein.
Well then, the story is to be continued.
Lubbers had this packhouse built in 1657. The first clue that he was a wine merchant is the gable stone with Bacchus sitting on a wine barrel holding a glass of wine. On the upper floors, grain was stored. Notice the gable stone with Ceres with an armful of grain and a sickle.
Ceres is, of course, the goddess of agriculture and fertility.
The gable stones on the end are Venus and Aeolus. He was known as the keeper of the winds, most important for a seafaring nation.
The winds are blowing us dit weg.
Along with merchant ships, VOC ships, and a herring fleet, the seas were also being plied by Dutch explorers. Willem Barents spent his time exploring the Arctic and Nova Zembla. The Barents Sea is named after him. Here in Harlingen, a replica of his ship has been built.
Known as Het Witte Zwaan, the White Swan, this replica was built using 17th century methods.
You know that mythical passage to the Far East Henry Hudson was searching for? You know, the one that laid the foundation for New York City? Well, Barents was also searching for it. But unlike Hudson, who sailed south, Barents sailed north. Far north. Way too cold for me, kind of north.
Wait! Where you going?
I brought your coat.
He hates the cold. Not Barents. He made 3 voyages, with the 3rd proving fatal. He died at sea in 1597. He had a crew of 17, but only 12 survived that final expedition.
The White Swan got trapped in the Arctic ice. They had some deadly encounters with polar bears, which underscores the dangers that came with Arctic exploration. While the harbors are bustling with boats coming and going, this sleepy little canal is called Zoutslot. Zout means salt, and this is where the salt trade was in days gone by. There are many cities in Friesland, all with their own character. Mata Hari herself hailed from the capital of the province, Leeuwarden. Franeker and Harlingen, 2 charming cities where they wear the past on their sleeves. Franeker, with its lineage back to Charlemagne, and Harlingen, with its oceanic launching pad to the lands beyond.
I hope you've enjoyed our first trek to Friesland Provincie. I'm Veronica Lewis. Join us again next time on Let's Go Dutch as we explore more of Nederland and beyond. Tot ziens!